With this attack of cold weather, it's time for some food that'll warm your innards. So I'm making a pot of chili. Starting, of course, with a few slabs of bacon. Since bacon is a vital food group, and I'm doing this in the pressure cooker because chili is one of those dishes where I want all of the flavors and textures to mingle. And it does such a good job with that. Chili is also one of those dishes that I often make up as I'm going along. And today is no exception. Now when that's browned, I add in a pound of 80-20 ground chuck. I freeze it in quarter-pound patties, so if I need a pound of it, I just grab 4 of them and I know I've got it. Now I'll brown this up. I did, by the way, pour off all but about a tablespoon of the bacon fat. I'm not pretending that this is healthy. It's just good. Now to this, I'm adding 3 good-sized cloves of garlic. Garlic, of course, being another vital food group. Now with the beef browned, cut the heat down. Crumble in the bacon. And throw in 1 medium-sized diced yellow onion. Now let these all get to know one another until the onion starts to soften. And I'll add the spices. A teaspoon of sea salt, a teaspoon of cumin, 2 tablespoons of chili powder, a half a teaspoon of cayenne, a couple of bay leaves, a heaping teaspoon of cinnamon, and a half a teaspoon of Chinese 5-spice. These can all go in together. Now, about a heaping tablespoon of Worcestershire and another tablespoon of a good white wine vinegar. Splashing it appropriately all over the stove. Keep the heat low, but keep it simmering. Now I'm adding a can of diced tomatoes with the juices. That was a 14.5 ounce can. Now I'm adding an 8 ounce can of tomato sauce. And because I'm in the mood, instead of adding a can of kidney beans, I'm adding some pinto beans with jalapenos and some assorted bacon. Come out of there. I like the way pinto beans sometimes just make it saucier. Now I'm adding about a cup of beef stock. Which I had frozen in half-cup hockey pucks. Again, so I can just reach in the freezer and grab something. I know how much I'm getting. And that's pretty much it for now. I'll cover it up, seal it, bring it up to about 10 pounds of pressure, and let it cook for about an hour. And yes, I glued the neck on yesterday, and it just has to sit for a few days for the glue to fully cure, and I can put strings on it. After an hour, time for a taste test. And it is determined that it needs another teaspoon of cumin. And a teaspoon, or maybe 2, of chili powder. And I'm going to add a tablespoon of sugar, turbinado. And we'll simmer that in and retest it. Now while the chili is finishing, let's whip up some Hushpuppies. 2 cups of cornmeal. 2 tablespoons of flour. 2 teaspoons of baking powder. A tablespoon of turbinado sugar. 2 2 teaspoons of salt, which I think I buried under these, a couple of tablespoons of dehydrated minced onion. And a little bit of cracked black to taste. Mix this all thoroughly together. And now we add enough boiling water to make a mush. Now exactly what a mush is strictly up to interpretation. That's about 2 cups, a little less than 2 cups of water. And it looks like a mush to me. And just let it cool for a couple of minutes. And at this point, it's cool enough. Add 1 beaten egg. And a 1/4 cup of milk. And mix this all together thoroughly. And now we drop appropriately sized globs into 375-degree oil. The size of the globs depends totally on how big you want your hush puppies. Don't overcrowd. And also try to refrain from burning yourself. Roll over, you little turkey. And when they are nicely golden, remove them to paper towels or a rack. Either way works. And add a next round. Because we know that certainly is not going to be enough. Turn over, you little punks. Now, in my experience, the leftover batter does keep very nicely in the fridge, just covered up, for at least a few days. Now this will warm your gizzard. Big bowl of chili with grated cheddar on top. A sufficient number of Hushpuppies. A nice salad on the side to pretend to be healthy with a light vinaigrette. And of course the champagne of beers to top it off. Do excuse me while I make a pig of myself.